It's surprising how much it can suck out of you to just stand in the sun, call lines, and tell people to do things better. I did watch the women's team at their showcase the other night.
That was a very good game.
Yeah. Did you see the showing of Chasing Sarasota that they put on?
No, I didn't.
When I heard that, I
Got
kind of
cold.
groaned because I remember watching it and
Uh-huh.
noticing immediately how many times I got scored on in that video. I was like, oh God, oh we're live now. Okay, well then to anyone listening, no, I don't get scored a lot in Chasing Sarasota, and you can watch it anytime you want.
Canada pulled the start there. Turn it over on a huck, and it looks like Canadian player's down, injured.
That would be Krista Kotwa. Interesting fact about her, her brother is actually at this tournament playing for the Open team, brother-sister combination going on. She looks like she got smoked pretty badly. If she's out, that could be a cause for the Canadian team because she's head and shoulders their tallest woman on this roster. Fortunately, Coach Hayduk there, number 91, is also a physio. He's well versed in caring for athletes. And as every open player knows, there are a hell of a lot of injuries in this sport.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my identity is unimportant, but my name is Alex Davis. I'm coaching the Canadian Open team, and I'm a player on Furious George from Vancouver.
And I'm Jimmy Lippert. I'm here writing for Skyd Magazine, and that's pretty much all I do with Ultimate.
Between the two of us, we ought to know enough Canadians and Americans separately to say something about this game.
Yep. Still U.S. disc now.
Yep. U.S. is being pretty conservative with the disc so far. Usually they're a very hucking-based offense, but they're choosing their moments. They're very undercut and handler-driven right now. Their cutters are pretty deep. It's going to be difficult to get the disc to them. Oh, miscue.
So
Right idea.
just can't reach that one.
Right idea, just pulled the trigger on the swing a little bit too early. The handler didn't even see the dump coming.
And Canadian throw sails too far.
Yep, that was Jarrett Marin, main handler for the Canadian team. Incidentally, he was also a handler on the Canadian U20 team, so this is not his first World showing. And you can tell that with the aggression of that first throw there. He was just looking to attack.
Norden looking deep to number 27, Lee Farnsworth. Oh.
Again, over-aggressive throw.
Farnsworth's throw to eagle there, just too far.
So Canada picks it up on this corner. They're running a vertical stack. The vertical stack is making a resurgence in popularity. I recognize that play. That's probably a Hayduk inspiration drawn from the Furious and World Games playbooks. A big huck into double coverage. Another very aggressive Marin choice. Let's see if Canada can pull it down.
Oh, wow. The U.S. players just misread that a little bit as it floated.
I think that was a Marin-Marin connection. Never underestimate the value of a good garbage collector. So Canada takes the first point, and I think that was a break.
It was.
Event staff are still tending to Krista Kotwa here. I don't know what the nature of the injury is, but it looks pretty serious.
Hope she's okay.
So the coaching staff for U23 mixed: Hadia Rodrigue from the Capitals, Taylor Martin, Toronto player for both Grand Trunk and GOAT over the years, and John Hayduk, longtime Furious player. Also a veteran of Vancouver's fabled team Fisher-Price. So if I'm counting correctly, that's a total of 3 world championships among the coaching staff for TFP on Hayduk, and I think 1 women's masters title for Hadia Rodrigue. If I'm wrong, I'm certain the audience will correct me in the internet world. Again, USA's cutters are very deep. Justin Norden with the histrionic foul call. When you're in front of a crowd, it's important to sell your calls with the theatrics.
Especially a very Canadian crowd.
Naturally. This is the court of public opinion that you're playing in front of here. That was a big grab by Gagandi Chata. Got the D, brings up to the goal line and starts it moving. Aaron Bussin going deep, and they fire it. Look at the wheels on that Bussin. And she scores. Canada now goes up 2-0.
Some of the U.S. cutters out there looked tired, and especially on defense. Elliot Erickson looked a little tired. Julie Eagle looked a little tired.
I don't know whether it's they could have underestimated the Canadian Fire at the start, but I would hesitate to say that USA is going to be tired for the rest of this game. When they feel the pressure, they will turn on. There are a lot of medals distributed already on the American roster, a lot of big game experience. This is not the kind of team that's going to fold early. Jimmy, you want to give us an account of the recent titles we have on the American roster?
A lot of Polar Bears players. There's the mixed squad out of San Francisco: Simon Higgins, Eli Kearns, Tommy Lee. Not sure if he was on the roster last year or not. Natasha Wan, Lisa Pitcaithley, sorry. And then Justin Norden has some championship experience. A lot of big game experience too, with 2 Ironside players, Adrian Banerjee and Jack Hatchett. Sophie Darch with a Fuke experience, winning college nationals this past year in the USA.
USA is kind of babying the disc right now, but they make an aggressive choice. Can they close it? Big run, nice layout grab. That was number 44, Sarah Mexstroth for the USA, coming up with that rescued cut. Controversial call on the side. Let's see how it's ruled.
That was 22, Aaron Adamson with a grab.
The crowd has strong opinions about it, and notably the crowd is very Canadian.
And looks like it's been ruled a turnover. Canada disc again.
They run their vertical stack play again. Oh, dangerous throw. US D's it.
Big jump from Tommy Lee to get that D for USA.
Aaron Bussin on the mark. Let's see if they can shut them down. They center it, swing. US tries to run the continuation. It gets looked off.
There's a USA score. Tommy Lee finds Claudia Tajima from Brute Squad in the end zone.
US is on the scoreboard. putting Canada once again on O. So we're going to get our first look at the Canadian O-line here.
2-1 Canada lead early in this mixed power pool matchup.
Here on the Canadian O-line, we have Hugh Knapp as an anchor handler. He's a player to watch. It just so happens that his family is pretty talented at ultimate, turns out. His older brother, Kian, is also on the open squad. So I'm coaching him at this week as well. A very popular cheer on defense among the Americans. When I root for the defense. Historical note, that actually belongs to the Portland Timbers. When I root for the Timbers. The Portland Team Rhino popularized that, and the American Ultimate community has embraced it.
It's a great cheer. Really gets the defense going.
I've heard it cheered loudly and often. Nice fake play by the Canadians there. They cleared across, brought Rumi Tapar back under. And they,
wow.
Oh! Nick Wright loads up the cannon shot, but telegraphs it too much. It gets hand blocked.
That was Ogren from Central Florida, the USA hand block.
Gutsy
Khalif
throw.
El-Salim looking for him in the end zone.
Attempts the greatest, but the defense is there. Nick Wright is not going to let a goal get scored on him on his watch. Viewers out there will notice there's one particularly tall Canadian out here, number 80, Kevin Grew. He's a player to watch. He plays for Odyssey, the mixed team out of Montreal that just won the U.S. Open. Hugh Knapp rescues the bailout. Cindy Trong trapped on the sideline trying to find an escape. Fires it across to Nick Wright.
Nice find. Davis looking again for another foot block this time.
The Canadians are getting stagnated and stuck frequently, but I like their culture of helping each other out in a bind. They're very good at providing options when the count is high.
Oh, Khalif El-Salim gets up for the USA D in the end zone there.
I'm not sure I like their culture of hucking it at the end zone from 20 yards out.
Especially in the wind here where it's just starting to float a little bit. Topher Davis is going to pick up the disc for USA.
Davis, that's a good name. I expect good things from him. He's also wearing the number 7. I feel that's a very accurate very arrogant number. Never trust number 7. You're competing with the likes of Mike Grant and Bobo Irick if you're listening. U.S. is getting cornered on the sideline again, but they make a find, they get it out, and it's another big aggressive huck.
Ooh.
Has the wrong edge. The mixed game could be very challenging that way. I know when I've played and tried out for mixed teams, like having to constantly recalibrate your throws depending on your teammates. There's a certain ease of play that comes in the open division when you can expect a certain uniformity of running speed from all your teammates. All you have to do is see the jersey color and throw it. In the mixed division, you have to pay a little more attention. There's a lot more disparity in closing speed. Ooh, very air bouncy throw, but lots of time and space.
Yeah, especially since Topher Davis was poaching off his man. by a lot there to try and take down the open lane.
Nice toss. Nick Wright on the handler strike, getting it from Kevin Grue. What do you say?
And that's a 3-1 Canada lead over USA mixed here. This USA offensive line looks like we're getting our first look at Eli Kearns, Polar Bears, and Next Gen alum. Jack Hatchett and Adrian Banerjee from Ironside.
These are players who have accomplished a lot for under 23-year-old category. I recently played against Eli Kearns when the Next Gen Tour landed in Vancouver. I'm pretty sore about that loss. Next Gen has done a lot for showcasing Ultimate, though. And they've demonstrated, I think, the first group to demonstrate that you could actually make a reasonable amount of money off of the game. Now, Canada on the sidelines is cheering when I root for the defense. North America has embraced the cheer. Wow.
Banerjee
Okay.
with the scuba.
That was a kind of thumber scuba. I don't even know what the name is for that throw. I never even think to throw that one.
Nice find from Sabrina Riot player over to number 47, Rebecca Miller in the end zone for USA Mixed. 3-2 Canada lead now. USA offense holds there. After that weird Banerjee throw, it seemed the USA just able to find the open side, work to the middle, and then a nice huck to the end zone for score.
I feel that every team needs at least one very creative thrower. Somebody who will find an unusual but effective way of getting out of a weird situation. But just one. If you have too many of those, I don't even know how to coach that. So Team USA is coached by a similarly distinguished group. We have Jason Simpson, the Rocket Man on Chain Lightning, Martin Aguilera, his teammate, also from Chain Lightning, and Jamie Newer, long-standing player, most recently of Blackbird.
Big Eli Kearns pull.
Rumi Tapar takes the pull. He's looking for a way out, and he finds it. Nice gainer to Kevin Grue. Hugh Knapp with the gutsy throw. Rumi Tapar finding his way through the crowd of women. Skies them all. He'll be proud of that photo later. Taking the field for the O-line now, number 24 is Justin Norden, Jeremy Norden's younger brother. This is another one of those family franchises in Ultimate. Jeremy Norden, it so happens, represented Canada at U23s in 2010, the inaugural championship. They both have played for Canada's Team Fisher-Price. One of the many benefits of dual citizenship, you can represent either country of North America at your leisure.
From what I've seen from the USA team this weekend, Norden's been a very, very steady voice on the sidelines, and on the field, it's been a calm handler when the USA team has needed it. You know, often teams, when they get into a lead, they get a little careless with the disc, and Norden hasn't really been about that. He's been very calm and just a nice presence there as the main handler for USA Mixed.
which would actually make him completely unlike his older brother. USA continues to work it up the sideline. Dumping and swinging to the opposite side now. Nice defense by Peter Yu. Blocks the continuation before US can score, but the US goes the other way.
Good job finding Will Harold there in the end zone. Will Harold, the Carleton Cut alum. 4-3 Canada lead over USA now.
Peter Yu is a speedster now on his rookie year with Furious George. I happened to coach him in high school. Just this year, he told me that everything I said when he was in high school finally began to make sense. It only took 3 years.
At least it's starting to make sense, though. At least he didn't just go in one ear out the other.
My wisdom ages well.
A loud "Let's Go Canada" cheer starting to erupt from the bleachers.
I totally endorse that. I'm surprised that Sachin hasn't brought out his, what is that long trumpet thing called anyways? It has a weird name. That involves,
Vuvuzela?
yeah, that. There's a special place in hell for the man who invented that instrument.
Oh, Elliot Erickson close there with the D.
We're trying another huck to Cindy Trong. She's closing fast. And she gets it. The U.S. peels off, knowing that they won't be able to get ahead of it. Canada takes the lead 5-2. This is shaping up well for Canada.
5-3. The Volunteers haven't updated the scoreboard on our side, I believe.
Well, whose fault is that? If my wire was long enough, I would go change it myself.
At this point, would you say that the USA D-line needs to make some sort of adjustment to try and take away the huck? The huck look that Canada mix has been...
You know, generally, I believe in forcing the other team to make hucks. The Canadians have been coming down with them, but the gap between defender and offense has not been very big. The spaces that they've been throwing to have been fairly constrained. So I'm impressed with the precision, but you know, if I was the D-line, I would keep pressuring that to see if Canada could keep up with it. Usually the huck is a lower percentage throw. Sometimes you just have to feel out to see if that happens to be your opponent's strength. I'm all about forcing the other team into trying to take a statistically unsustainable offense. All you need is a turn once, and then you've capitalized. U.S. sets up in a split stack formation.
Sophie Darch this time, the main handler there.
And it was an absolute mess. I have no idea what that play was.
Oh. Never mind, that's not actually Sophie Darch there.
Nice try. I like that Canada is laying out, still contesting every catch. U.S. makes a nice throw, but not precise enough. And that's exactly what you want to force the other team to do. It's not easy to get the disc to sit exactly right, particularly when they're downwind like that.
Tommy Lee setting the mark for America here.
Nice aggressive mark. You'll notice it's straight up, trying to take away the huck. And it accomplishes the task. It's not perfect. Can Canada come down with this one?
Topher Davis gets the D.
That was fast.
Very. Canada disc again.
Oh,
Ooh.
bobble. Third tries the charm, though. He gets it. Oh, dear.
Oh.
That's why you always need at least half a second of eye contact before you throw the disc. It's weird to me that the U.S. cutters keep setting up so deep because it gives the defender so much time to read it, and it's so difficult to get it. Then again, the U.S. keeps hand blocking Canada.
Yeah. Nice hand block there by Aaron Adamson.
This is a turnover dense point. Points like these always benefit the defense. You're starting to tire out the O-line. That's a prelude to getting the other team to roll its lines, then their offense is weaker thereafter. Crossfield hammer, it sits a little high.
Oh.
Can't make the catch, it was right at the back of the end zone line.
Possibly foul being called here by Khalif El-Salim.
The reenactment is going well. Parliamentary rules are in effect. If anyone from the international community is listening, parliamentary rules is not actually a thing. Don't quote me on that.
Some solid heckling coming from the Canadian part of the stands over there.
The Canadian fans have an uncompromising view on heckling. It's to be used at all times, liberally, thoroughly, loudly. I don't know where they find the energy to do it. It's a hot, sunny day.
It is a lot different than the past couple of days we've had here. It's been sunny but chilly with the wind.
We had a hailstorm interrupt one round 2 days ago.
For like
Remember,
15 minutes.
well, all of us were dressed for a very different weather system when the hailstorm struck. If anyone from VC is listening, I could use a slightly warmer polo shirt.
Looks like this is going back, still USA disc.
Nice precise throw. Double juke on the open side, gets it.
USA score. 5-4 Canada lead. Team USA timeout here.
They're going to want to rest their O-liners a bit. And USA probably does want to recuperate a little bit. They've spotted a few points to the Canadians. The coaches probably have something to say about that, elevate the intensity. But Canada's intensity has been pretty good.
It hasn't aided nicely by the loud Canadian sideline. If you're the Team USA coach right now, what are you saying to your boys and girls?
Well, there's the
Down by
thing.
one.
This is a mixed team, and every team has its own culture. If I was the Team USA coach, I'd probably, if I was coaching an open team as Team USA, I would probably inform them that I was not very happy with their intensity. I might use a few curse words I'm not prepared to broadcast over the internet.
Sure,
And
Tushar
then I
wouldn't
would
be happy.
yes, well, Tushar isn't the boss of me. Also, he's dressed like he's going on safari. I don't know how he commands any authority with that hat.
Yeah, I know.
I would also give a few cerebral pointers about exactly how I wanted them to adjust on their defense. But the trouble is, with a mixed team, players from all over the country, It's very difficult to know how your words will be accepted. I come from the Furious George school of Ultimate, which is characteristically angry. I have been yelled at a lot over the years.
I suppose the Furious fits then.
Well, yes. If you're going to put an unhappy face on your jersey, you have to expect a certain kind of feedback from the captaincy. And as if in perfect reply, right now the American players are walking up and down the sideline trying to promote positivity. Apparently there are too many frowns. I disagree. Frowns are important. But not for the USA. Canada is clotting a lot right now. There were some double cuts. Kevin Grew finds the middle, but there's a last-minute poach by a very heads-up female player by the name of Sabrina Fong. Wow. Pinpoint throw by Rumi Tepar. That was excellent.
He has been excellent as a handler, distributing the disc so far, especially deep. Disc has always been right where it needs to be.
At Potlatch a few weeks ago, where the World Games team was warming up as their last tournament before Colombia, I was playing with the American All-Stars against them in the showcase game. And Sam Harkness was captaining the team at the time, and his strategy was predicated on smiling. And that struck me as very counterintuitive, but his reasoning was thus, that Canadians hate it when the Americans smile, appear to have fun, and it frustrates us, and that eventually we will do something stupid because we are so annoyed by their happiness. And then I was convinced, because that he has a pretty good read on Furious George right there. I think that's been Sockeye's strategy for years.
(6-4) Canada lead over USA now. As Canada's offense holds once again.
Something that surprises me is that we have not seen a few notable American big guns take the field so far. I don't think I've seen Lisa Pitcaithly take the field yet, and she's among the most decorated on this team. She has the distinctions of having played with Polar Bears, Blackbird, and Fury.
Looking for Hatchet in the end zone, and he comes down with it.
It sits with pinpoint precision right there, the pigeonhole, back corner of the end zone. Not a lot you can do about that. That was a full yard forehand. If I was a Canadian coach, I'd say I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like you've been saying, they're not going to get a throw like that every single time. It's right where it needs to be, especially with the wind kind of changing direction here.
Just because the other team is cheering about it, you can't let yourself think that's something you should worry about.
6-5 Canada lead now over USA.
Long pull.
Big pull, Eli Kearns.
Sitting just inside. That was a very excellent pull in this wind. Centers it, Hugh Knapp under pressure. Oh, they run that 3-2 stack again, but the smart poach
Ooh, and a
takes it
turn.
away, gives it back to Nick Wright, and then they turn it, trying to find a way out.
Kearns with the disc here.
Nice
Nice
IO break.
find. Eli Kearns finds Lee Farnsworth in the end zone, and we have a tie game here as USA gets a break back. Sixes here with Canada. I think it all starts there. That great Eli Kearns pull. It floated long enough that the other handler defenders were able to get down and put pressure on them early, and not too long after, forced them into a Canada turn.
Even in a slight wind, a good pull is worth a D. Means that it sits long enough, the other team has set up in formation, the defenders can recognize the formation, and it's a stagnant situation when they get down there. That's really what set up the ability for that defender to create the poach that took the Canadians out of their play. Number 99 on the U.S. Defense here.
Khalif El-Salim, Washington University player. Believe he was Rookie of the Year out there in the Northwest region.
He also has the distinction of, in my opinion, having the greatest collection of international jerseys in the Pacific Northwest. If anyone wants to trade, he's the man to find. Good pull, but unfortunately it lands just out of bounds. That would have been a tough one to catch.
And they've put Khalif El-Salim on number 81.
Rumi Tapar.
Rumi Tapar, right.
That's going to be a good matchup for quickness, and they're probably hoping to keep it out of his hands because he's been so good at moving the disc.
Another Canada turn. This time it looks like a drop.
That was a good pass to Cindy Truong, but it came in a little bit too fast. She had to catch it sideways. It slipped through. But Canada can get it back because it's on the sideline. They can create a pressure situation. Rumi Tapar is now on defense against Khalif. U.S. centers the disc.
USA just outside the end zone now. Finds Topher Davis. Davis not even a yard out.
Canada makes a stand.
Some great end zone defense here from Canada.
They've pushed the handlers back. That's going to make it a little bit easier for the lane cutter defenders. U.S. cutters can't quite get enough separation to get the disc from the handlers.
Oh.
But the upline cut scores the goal. If you move the disc often enough, sooner or later one of those upline cuts gets the chance.
And that USA got both of their breaks back from early in the game. They now have a 7-6 lead over Canada.
Canada calls a timeout to regroup.
I think wise timeout call here. We saw early on with USA down those two breaks. They call timeout call. We're able to regroup and kind of get their heads back into it, establish themselves, put the game back on serve. Canada coach probably saying, look, guys, we had the lead. We had these guys down early in the game. Let's get them back to that point.
Coaches have been kicked out of the circle. Captains want to say something here. And it's almost certainly that they're getting a reminder that this ultimate game is a game of runs. In theory, offense gets the disc every single time. You expect them to score every single time. But in practice, everyone knows. Yes, Touchard, this is a timeout. I don't know how you mistook that for something else.
Yeah.
Has he played this game before? Anyways, what I was saying was, ultimate is a game of runs. You can carry momentum despite the serves. Canada had the lead, they lost it. Canada's going to try to get it back. That's all there is to it. Erin Busson is rolling up her shorts, the only one on the Canadian team to make the fashion statement. I don't know, I feel it looks a little bit diaperish with the white.
Indeed.
Krista Kotwa is up and walking about. I have not heard the nature of the injury, but she has a moderate limp.
I don't think we've seen her back out in the field either. Looks like she's been testing over on the sideline. As an American, I find the C-A-N-A-D-A cheer funny, just from the many jokes that how Canada's name was formed that us Americans have. But that's just me personally.
It's not a country name that lends itself easily to cheers. I don't actually hear very many people say A anymore, but we stick to it.
One of those American stereotypes.
Speaking of stereotypes, that was a very stereotypical throw.
Looks like oh, never mind. For a second it looked like it was coming back on something, but
it was an aggressive OI huck to the end zone. Canada isn't going to shy away from the big shots, and they probably need them to win this game. Sometimes you have to be willing to roll the dice.
Sophie Darch here with the disc for Team USA.
Canadians push America back. The cutters are too deep again.
Pick called downfield.
You'll notice the Canadian formation is trying to push the handlers back and deny the in-cuts to the lane cutters. They're trying to sucker the U.S. into another aggressive huck. In this case, it would be an upwind huck. U.S. keeps finding cutters on the sides. Kind of uses the wraparound mark, but they get an IO breakout across.
Oh, and the Erickson throw to Darch is just too far out of reach as it bounces off Darch's hand.
The strategy pays off. The Americans were forced to make a lot of passes. Canada makes another aggressive huck, and it comes through. Hugh Knapp to Kevin Grew.
7-all here.
Justin Norden kicks his sweater in frustration.
Always helpful to have some of those inanimate objects around to take frustration out on.
Many a water bottle has been destroyed in frustration.
Getting those 2 breaks back, though, puts the USA at an advantage where they can simply hold for their next 2 offensive points and take the game to half with a lead.
This is going to be a very long game. Only 7 sevens, games to 17. In many ways, this can be a game of attrition. We saw last night Colombia fighting it out against the U.S. Very aggressive style. Went toe-to-toe with the U.S. for all of the first half. But in the second half, they started to relent. When it's 2 good teams facing each other, games will often be decided in the last 5 points, and I think that's what we're going to see here today. Good grab by Mr. Higgins.
Finds Khalif El-Salim.
Khalif El-Salim takes the big shot. Aaron Bussin tries to D it, just can't get around the shoulder.
Great grab by, that's Letha Pakathli on the field finally for Team USA. She makes the grab.
She delivers on her reputation. The U.S. has a very deep team here. Their roster is punctuated with club champions, national university champions. Very few blank spots in terms of people who've distinguished themselves in the club and university circuits. Canada necessarily has a smaller population pool to draw from. As I remind my team all the time, if you take the 10 best players from any given country, they're going to be excellent players. But depth matters a lot in a tournament this long. Without the same kind of brand name recognition and the same kind of experience in big games, Canada has a tougher time meeting them toe-to-toe for long games like these. So far, they've done admirably well, though.
Looking through the Canada roster list we have in front of us, are a lot of them younger, up-and-coming players? I mean, you've mentioned a few players that are coming up through Furious and other top Canadian teams that Americans would recognize. Are a lot of the other players in similar boats here for Team Canada Mixed?
Well, in my opinion, they're all intolerably young. Some up-and-comers that are worth mentioning here, well, we've already mentioned Hugh Knapp and Kevin Grew.
Great grab there. 77 from Canada to keep the point alive.
Hugh Knapp has an excellent sense of timing as he performs a great grab right on cue and throws it to Kevin Grew. Am I in charge of this game?
Tie game at 8 between USA and Canada.
I also wanted to mention some up-and-coming players. Adriana Rowe from PPF. We've been seeing her on the O-line. We've already been seeing Aaron Bussin making consistent appearances in this game. Cindy Trong, also on the O-line from PPF. We have a couple of professional players on this team. Nima Mostagimi from Rush and Eamon Pinto, also from the Rush. Technically, Canada's first professional team.
And they've had a great season so far down there in the AUDL.
Undefeated in the AUDL. I thought I would also mention that Team Canada Mixed is probably the most thoroughly national Canadian team at this tournament. If you look at the geography of their players, we have players on this team all the way from Newfoundland, Quebec, Ontario, BC. I don't see a lot of prairie names showing up here, but I believe there is one that is escaping our color commentary sheet. Audrey Cloutier, also known as Klotz. She's a cube player from Quebec City.
USA O-line will look to hold here, take the game into half with a lead.
Canada, of course, wants the break. It's a very valuable break. I believe if they take it, they'll be starting the second half on O. Well, they will be starting the second half on O regardless, but having the 2-point lead going across makes the big difference in games like these.
And
U.S. thinks they've scored. Aaron Bussin contests, but eventually relents. She made a great D attempt there, gave a hard shove, but couldn't get the disc.
And that was Norden to Pakathli there for Team USA. 9-8 USA lead over Canada into half here.
I think that under the pressure of a tight game, they finally took Pakathli out of cold storage.
And so far looks like the right move. She's been involved in the last 2 scores for Team USA.
As we approach the playoffs this weekend, a lot of teams are looking to conserve their big guns so that they're nice and fresh for the last rush.
Touchard says we're back.
Welcome back to the U23 Championships, where we have the showcase game between Canada mixed and USA mixed. During the break, for those of you who are asking, we went and found out how Krista Cotwell was doing. It seems that she has a persistent meniscus issue, and in that particular case, she hyperextended while falling, inflamed it once again. She's not optimistic that she's going to get back in this game, but she's otherwise all right.
And instead of Japan-Canada next on the stream, Touchard, what game will be next on the stream? That women's game has been moved. Open match will be next. We believe it's going to be Great Britain versus whoever lost in the Australia-Germany matchup, but we're not sure on that. It will be an open matchup and not Japan-Canada here on the stream. They've had some field issues due to an irrigation problem.
Incidentally, on the topic of injuries, one of the things that we easily forget about is that despite how young and indestructible these players seem to be, they're all on U23 teams because they're good players, and good players are always in demand. On their home clubs, these are players who see a lot of play time, so they often get overused before they even show up at this tournament. So injuries are the norm. Even on the open team, we've got 4 people who have to sit right now. Canada starting on offense for the second half, looking to tie this up again at 9s. Nice shot. That was Nick Wright to Cindy Trong, I think. She feeds it up to Kevin Grew. Canada has good flow right now.
But a turn.
Why are they trying to prove me wrong?
Sometimes what you say comes true, other times the opposite.
USA answers with their own flow. Aggressive huck, can Hugh Knapp close it? Wow!
Oh.
Excellent pressure defense by Hugh Knapp.
And while Will Harold looked like he had read it correctly and was able to come down with it, it bounces off his hand. Foul on the mark there.
We're having a shoelace timeout. Shoelaces are back in order and the game is on. Nick Wright clears across for a very good inside throw from Hugh Knapp. Rumi Tepar, another big shot to Kevin Grew.
And he gets up big over Georgia Chain and next-gen player Elliot Erickson, Team USA. It's 9-9 here between USA and Canada. Right out of half, Canada holds.
Right now the Canadian offense is looking very formulaic. The U.S. coaches have probably begun to pick up on the pattern here. Some of them are probably beginning to wonder why Kevin Grew is still going long on them. For the rest of this tournament, there's only going to be 1 game a day, I believe, in all divisions. So there's no?
I don't think in mixed tomorrow. I think mixed again is 2 games.
Oh.
Tomorrow for the power pools.
Is this the only game for Canada US today, though?
Maybe, possibly. I think they have 2 tomorrow.
Well, it's true in the open division, and what that means is it affords a little more liberty to bring players out. You know they're going to have rest for the rest of the day. In a game that you want to win like this one, players are starting to come out of the cold storage. Canada very much wants to win this game. Canada's being very effective on the handlers, but the U.S. is still slowly marching it up the field. Jimmy falls off his chair, but he recovers nicely.
Never been good with keeping my balance. A nice grab by the Polar Bears player Simon Higgins from the Northern throw. It's a 10-9 USA lead.
So Canada and USA open up the second half by trading points. This is going to be a game that comes right down to the last 5. I think that's where we're going to see which team has more depth, which team has the most patience.
Indeed.
Good ultimate does not have to be spectacular. We've seen 2 teams using their formulas very patiently so far, even if those formulas involve somewhat aggressive tactics. They're sticking to their tactics. And that's important. You don't want to necessarily change your team culture just because you're facing a strong opponent. If you have a system, you want to have faith in it.
Early in the tournament against Great Britain, the U.S. mixed coaches noticed that Great Britain was trying to run some set plays off the beginning, and thus their poles were being made to bounce and kind of just roll out the back of the end zone. Surprised we haven't seen a similar strategy employed here, but we do see a zone now.
Yeah, U.S. has brought their first, it looks like a 3-3-1. Nice hammer.
Very nice hammer. Set perfectly. Canada's inches out now.
Canada gets all the way to goal line, momentarily stagnates. Nice inside break. Still looking for a hole. The U.S. is holding their zone even on their goal line. The U.S. there was still holding it, probably thinking that they might force a turn if they gave an unfamiliar defense in the end zone. Some teams swear by their end zone offenses. If you flash a zone, even if it seems counterintuitive, you can force them to make a turnover just because they don't know what they're looking at. Human beings are not nearly as sapient as you might think. I apologize to all the human beings out there.
I gather that's most of our listeners.
Earlier we were talking about the Canadians heckling. Incidentally, I'm getting thoroughly heckled on Twitter. Ultimate players love their social media. Apparently I have an Ottawa Valley accent. I'm from Montreal.
So is that kind of an insult for you guys?
I suppose. Do Ottawans sound intelligent? Okay, we're tied at 10s. U.S. and Canada take opposite ends of the field. Is that Marin once again with the disc? Yeah, both Marins on the field for Canada. They're going down on the pull. They're both taking handlers. Wow, big aggressive huck right off the start. Pitt Caithley going deep.
Norden with a nice throw. Puts USA just outside the end zone.
And a choice pop pass for the goal.
She found Ian Engler there. 11-10 USA lead. Very quick strike for Team USA there.
Canada gives them a glare, puts their offense back on the field. Hadia Rodrigue and John Hayduk, Taylor Martin, giving some adjustments to their O-line.
In that same vein, we got a very big USA D-line taking shape here. Just from the men on the line alone, we got Elliot Erickson and Eli Kearns, both next-gen alums, Adrian Banerjee and Jack Hatchett from Ironside.
As I was saying earlier about overused players showing up this championship, Eli Kearns from Next Gen, Morrissey also from Next Gen on the open team. There are quite a few Next Gen players here, and what you have to think is crisscrossing the country just prior to this tournament.
In a bus eating nothing but fast food and whatever else you could find.
I suppose they think they're at an age where they can abuse their bodies, and they're probably right.
Yeah. No zone this time from the USAD.
Isolating Cindy Strong. Adriana Rowe tries to run the continuation, gives up the space to Kevin Grew. Nearly a foot buck there. Adriana Rowe with the disc. Finds her teammate here on the sideline. Canada's moving nicely now. Aggressive huck.
Oh,
Kevin Grew can't quite stick it this time.
As Jack Hatchett came flying through.
Jack Hatchett from Ironside. A lot of big game experience there as well. The U.S. started off looking slow, but they're warming up. They're starting to look a lot more aggressive.
Kearns with not many options.
When you have to make the cross-field swing, it's nice to be able to fire a rocket on it.
Travel called him the Banerjee throw to Erickson.
What the viewers probably can't tell right now is that the wind is getting stronger with every minute. Those cross-field swings are getting more and more difficult. And we're starting to see the good throwers get the right edges, keeping the transit times low so that the defenders can't close on them.
Oh. And the Banerjee throw pops on him just as the wind picks up. And it's Canada disc again.
Hugh Knapp picks up the disc. Canada sets up a deep stack. They swing, but again stagnate, unable to find the continuation.
Ooh.
Rumi Tapar had an instant where you could have bid on that disc, but it was so far out there, it was the kind that makes you second guess. Is that disc for someone else?
Kearns picks up for USA. Oh, and another USA look upfield pops on them and sails right into Canada's hands.
Both teams are playing with confidence that they're going to get the disc
Big
back.
block by Elliot Erickson.
And so far, both teams have good reason to think that way.
Early in the game, it looked like Erickson was possibly a little too loose on his defensive work, but there it paid off. He was able to lay out and stop Canada from scoring. Kearns looks for Hatchett deep.
Superlatively good throw. Upwind, 3/4 of the way of the field. Lots of space in the end zone right now. They just need to isolate a player. Canada regroups, the defense gets in position.
Kearns with the disc right outside.
Kearns isn't looking to throw anything too creative.
And USA comes down with it.
A bobble, but a catch. USA takes the lead 12.
Sabrina Fong with the grab from the Eli Kearns throw. Sabrina's a Riot player, Seattle Riot. I believe this is her first year there on the team. From what I've heard, she's making a lot of big plays, especially defensively, which I guess is why USA mixed coaches have chosen to put her out in the USA D-line here, as USA takes a 12-10 lead over Canada.
USA appears to have called a timeout, or at least that was the hand signal I saw. Canada summarily ignores it. They're taking the line. The only timeout time they need is talking to the 7 players they're going to put on the field. Number 25 on the line is Caitlin Lusty, whom I'm told has been nicknamed Hands of an Angel. I assume that has something to do with her ability to come down with the disc.
Long nickname, but I mean, if it's relevant, why not?
Ultimate has a great way of coming up with the most absurd nicknames. Josh Marin here apparently is Snake or White Trash Tea.
I can second that nickname call. Next Gen's Brian Jones was a senior my first year at SUNY Buffalo down in the USA, and my nickname ended up being Cutie Pie for all 4 years down at SUNY Buffalo.
Well, I guess that's something to be proud of. Is that how you introduce yourself?
Yes, sometimes.
Well played, Cutie
Not
Pie.
with Skyd.
U.S. puts on another zone. It's a 3-3-1 once more. That's a tough look to flash in mixed. Trying to get the right composition so that you can easily transition is tough. That's probably why U.S. has been holding it as long as they have. Put on the zone and then commit to it. Hope to get the turnover early. Crossfield hammer once again.
Wow.
Hugh Knapp has been pinpoint with those.
That was a great find.
Rumi wants to get to Adriana, can't, but he finds Hugh Knapp instead. Snakes it between the defenders.
(12-11) USA lead now. And we've seen the U.S. throw a zone look twice now to try and confuse the Canadian offense. Do you think we'll see a similar strategy employed by the Canadian coaches?
I'm not sure that we will. The zone look, as I said in mixed, is tough to put on. Once you put it on, you have to commit to it. And the Canadian style of zone is usually just intended to be used as a transition. Take the opponent out of their play, force them to get into zone positions on offense, waste 10 seconds getting back into man. If you're going to commit to a zone, though, in this division, in this game, you're going to have to hold it all the way down the field if they get to the end zone. I don't think that Hajduk is ready to commit to that. I think they like their man-to-man matchups. They're hoping to force the U.S. to turn over on a difficult, statistically unsustainable throw. And I think they also respect the fact that the U.S. has a lot of very accomplished throwers on this team. In the same way that Hugh Knapp has been slicing up their zone with hammers, I think they know that the U.S. could do the same. Justin Norden is no slouch with that disc. And once again, Canada decides to spite me by putting on a zone. This is a rabbit wall. One chase, 3-person wall. They have Josh Marin deep.
Switch to man already, though, just like you were saying. Canadian zones usually transition. They've already transitioned out of it.
Well, at least I'm right on some things.
Big bomb from Sophie Darch. Finding Ian Engler for the score. What a bomb from Sophie Darch.
Just to stick it in there, Sophie Darch shows that Canada has to respect those throwers. The wind is not quite strong enough that their strongest throwers can't beat a zone with it. That was a very good huck, though.
Probably not an unfamiliar look for any American viewers we have here on the stream, as anyone watching the college championships this past year saw Sophie bomb those hucks all the time with Oregon Fugue.
She and her teammate, Sophie Darch and Bethany Kaler, yes, both recent champions from Oregon University, or University of Oregon. A crazy juxtaposition of names. All right, well, we'll see if the U.S. continues the trend with their zone. If I was the coach, I would pull it off by now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hasn't really been effective. It's not getting the intended result out of it. Better going back to man. We're able to force those turns for the breaks, get you back in the game in the first half, and help generate turns here in the second half.
It was a very aggressive zone both times, leaving a woman on the wide side completely uncovered. I think that it was intended to bait that throw that Hunat made both times.
That Eli Kearns pull just too far. Would have been in bounds had it not sailed at the back. Couldn't have been more than a foot or two.
So we're back man-to-man. Some pre-snap movement from the Canadian offense. Kevin Grew starts from the back, wraps around. Kevin Grew, can you rescue it?
Foul, yeah, there's some discussion there between Banerjee. Looks like it's going back.
Rumi Tapar is isolated. He doesn't have a dump right now except for Hugh Knapp, who's upfield. Erickson won't let him back, so Hugh strikes. Rumi still manages to swing it across.
Thought Tajima was going to lay out for that D there for USA. And Banerjee with the D.
Tammy Chu tries to pop it for an easy dump. Doesn't see the defender moving in across her blind spot.
Kearns with the disc. Back to Fong.
U.S. is now within scoring range. They put up another pugnacious throw.
Kearns
and they
comes
come
down,
down with it against double coverage. Witness the pugnacity.
14-11 USA lead over Canada mix now.
Eamon Pinto is fired up. He lets his teammates know.
USA is taking a timeout. After adding to their lead, bringing the Canadian deficit to 3. With this time out, I think the USA coaches are looking to get some rest for their players and tell them all they're not going to take the foot off the pedal and keep pushing and keep working to add to the lead against Canada. While the Canadian team is talking about regrouping, right, and getting themselves back in the game, holding here on offense, and then trying to rattle off some breaks.
Right now, the coaches are probably reminding the Canadians that no game is out of their reach. Canada, Canada as a national team in every division, has characteristically demonstrated comebacks before, often to the frustration of many opponents eliminated over the years. 14-11, that's exactly where Canada wants to be. Okay, not exactly, but you know. Canadian Ultimate gives me a lot of gray hairs and a lot of ulcers. Always running the comeback special.
Isn't that what it's like with most Canadian sports? Wasn't there, what was the last Olympics? Winter Olympics, hockey, and that gold medal game between USA and Canada. I believe I read somewhere that there was a higher number of heart attacks and emergency room calls during that game with how close it was.
I'd actually like to see the statistics on that one. Numbers don't lie. They mislead, but they don't lie. USA puts up the pull. The black tide surges down on Canada. Canada sets up their vertical stack. They're running the front handler strike again. From the back, Hugh Knapp gets it. Kevin Grew, he tries to go under. Hugh Knapp gets it to him. There's a pick call on the play. Kaylin Leslie comes over once again.
Oh, nice play by number 11, Bethany Kaler. Get the D there from Canada.
An
Up until that point.
aggressive look, not a bad one, but it got in front of the defender. Offense couldn't do anything to rescue it.
Ooh.
Kevin Grew, great heads-up defense. Sees the throw even before it goes up. He throws it to double coverage. Ruby Tapar
Wow.
comes back with it.
It's a nice play by Grew. Very nice play.
Kevin Grew makes the heads-up play, answers with an extremely courageous choice. Throws like that can be a statement unto themselves. It makes the USA start to think, what can we do to defend this? I have to defend everything. When you have to worry about defending every square inch of the field, you start to leave other things open. Every once in a while, an aggressive choice pays off in the long run. And in the process, Canada actually narrows this lead.
(14-12) USA now. Haven't heard anything about a soft cap, so we're going to assume the game is still at 17.
Bobo Irick asks how I found out some of the nicknames on the Canadian mixed team. The answer is I take my job very seriously, and I did scouting, interviewed the coaches on both teams, who apparently were all too eager to let me know what the nicknames were. Some of them are just inappropriate for an internet audience.
Yeah, Too Sharp probably wouldn't be too happy if we started speaking with inappropriate words.
Actually, I think Tushar has lower standards than I do.
That does explain the safari hat.
You think he's bagged that great white rhino yet? The pull goes out of bounds. USA centers it, and they're getting into another split stack formation. I haven't so far seen anything particularly threatening out of this formation, but maybe they just haven't run it correctly. How about that? They draw the defenders off with poaches, expecting cutters to come in, so they just send it straight to Khalif Al-Salam.
Possible foul call there on the mark.
One of the things I try to remind my team when coaching them, the plays are there just to get somebody open, preferably by isolating them in space. If the defense poaches off and leaves somebody open, why even bother with the play? Just give them the disc. Give the disc to the first open person you see. And US is very good about finding. Well, wow. And yet they shove it into Justin Norden. Justin Norden has the disc. He's been a great steward of possession so far. I don't think he's going to lose it. He's probably going to find a very good way of moving it back into the center.
Oh, he tries
Why,
for the
Justin?
center.
Why? I don't know what the statistics on his game are, but he's ruining my statistics as a predictor of fortune. Wow. That was not the way that throw was intended to come out.
No.
Huge flick bomb. And it connects.
Nice grab. Julie Eagle with the grab.
Cindy
Looking
Trong
for
tries to
Khalif
play
Al-Salim.
defense on Khalif.
Oh.
Just enough pressure. They can't get it to his fingers. It wasn't a block, but Cindy Trong came up huge for Canada there.
Yeah, she did a very good job containing El-Salim and kind of forcing him into that very tight window for the throw to go in, and couldn't connect on it.
Hayduk is eyeing me. I don't know if that's because he approves of what I'm saying or not. I hope nobody's giving him a live feed.
Another Canada turn on a throw that just isn't working how they want him to fly in the air here.
Justin Norden picks up the disc once again on the sideline. Let's see if he's any more hesitant after that last turnover.
Oh, and in and out of Khalif Al-Salim's hand.
Matt
Foul call there on
Goodkey
the mark.
picks up the disc right away, starts looking for his options. His teammates are urging him to call a timeout.
But his coach is saying no.
The Canadian cutters are too deep. The defense is solid on the handlers, and this throw starts floating up out of bounds.
Part of what was causing problem there for the Canadian handlers was the other handler defenders were kind of getting their lanes a little bit and giving them an even tighter window to put a throw in.
Yep.
So with hard downfield man defense, there's not many options for him.
Yeah, his dump was trying to babysit him. His defender was in the way of any break opportunity. And that punishes the Canadians.
Yeah, third time's a charm there for Justin Norden. As he finds Simon Higgins in the end zone for the 15-12 USA lead over Canada. So frustration over here on the Canadian sideline.
Remember, frustration is Canada's strength, at least if Sam Harkness is to be believed. Well, I think it's our strength.
Another big D-line coming out for Team USA here. Bethany Kaler, Sabrina Fong, Topher Davis, Eli Kearns, Aaron Adamson, Jack Hatchett. Who am I missing? And Rebecca Miller found out the D-line for USA here.
Pull floats out of bounds once again. Canada happily goes to center it as they set themselves up in the vertical stack. Some formations are better suited to pulls that go out of bounds than others. I know I've been frustrated many times by not being able to get a disc right off the pull. If this was intended to be a give and go formation, well, they've shown their hand. But it's not. Kevin Grew goes for the same strike off of the front. Off of the back, it's Hugh Knapp.
A nice mark from Aaron Adamson.
Yep, the mark was good. The huck couldn't find its way through. Nick Wright opts to start moving his defender out of the way, takes him deep. Crossfield hammer all the way to...
Oh!
And it's a turnover deep. Bold choice.
Kearns picks up for USA.
They're not hucking deep. The USA cutters are much closer now. Their spacing is better, and they're running more aggressively.
Jack Hatchett throws that one away, though. Canada disc.
Right now, it's been a reversal of problems for the USA. Their cutting is better, but their throwing is worse. Canada's running only two handlers back.
Ooh, Jack
They're
Hatchett.
sticking with the vertical formation. Easy pass into the end zone for the score.
Hatchett was inches from that layout D, though. Doesn't matter as Canada puts it in. 15-13 USA lead now.
Rumi Tapar is having an outstanding game for the Canadians right now. He's all over the field, and it's frustrating his defender. It's very difficult to cover a handler who at any time might be going into the end zone.
Yeah, Tapar's been very good this game. I'm excited to see him play for Furious this year. In the tournament crossovers when he's coming down in the Triple Crown Tour down there that USA Ultimate set up this year.
Furious has a lot of representation at this tournament. I think there are 10 rookies scattered across the mixed and open teams, which of course hurt Furious quite a bit at the most recent Triple Crown Tour event. It's hard to be donating players to 3 different national teams at any given time, although it's a tremendous compliment for the Vancouver team.
Indeed.
Other players who show up donated from various clubs. We have a lot of representation from Rush, GT, GOAT, Capitals, PPF is well represented on this team as well. Depending on whom you ask, PPF, the meaning of that acronym is either the best or worst kept secret in Canadian Ultimate. As an administrator, I'm going to not know it as long as I can.
Oh.
Lisa Pitt-Caithley can't come down with the disc. Canada may have got lucky there. Pitt-Caithley usually comes down with those. They're not complaining. They're going to try to capitalize. Move the disc immediately to Aaron Busson.
Nice grab.
Gagan Chata with the grab. Saves his offense. Canada keeps moving it, and they get the score. Nice conversion for the Canadian offense there.
And a very big break. Brings this game back to 15-14 USA lead.
This game is coming down to the wire. One of the great things about Canadian Ultimate is that while it leaves you perennially stressed out, at least it's not unfamiliar.
It does look like the next stream here on I Am Ultimate, here on Field 3 at 2013 WIFTIF U23 World Championships, will be Switzerland versus Great Britain. So both teams are starting to set up here around us, start throwing and getting themselves warmed up for the next game on this field.
It's now 3:05. I don't know when the soft cap is coming on.
USA offense working up the field.
Canada's doing their best to contest every catch right now. That was a great layout attempt by Eamon Pinto. But of course, it engenders foul calls.
Ooh,
Fellow North Americans, the Canadians and Americans don't often argue about contact, though. They have a very good standing agreement about exactly what they're willing to give and take, and that's part of what's made this game so great and call-free so far. Wow.
Wow.
Gagan
What a
Chaitha,
play.
normally a deep guy himself, puts up a monster 45-yard huck for the score right at the back of the end zone.
What a play. We have a tie game here. 15-15.
So excited, Krista Kotwa vigorously limps out onto the field to cheer on her teammates.
And the Canadian crowd with Maple Leaf flags all over the place. Start ramming up their cheering and getting even louder.
The Maple Leaf is very popular in Canada. We see it well represented.
I've noticed that every American restaurant I try and go to, somewhere there's got to be that Maple Leaf in their logo now. Not that I'm complaining. Just
short taxonomy lesson here. The Canadian maple is also known as Acer canadensis. That will be useful one day when you are speaking on IamUltimate.com.
Drew, ask him. I don't know. We didn't hear anything. Possibly a timeout call right now? Between us and the Volunteers, neither one of us can really figure it out. Too busy talking.
A mutually agreed upon timeout. I don't know why they're asking me. Do I look like I'm in charge of this event? Just the other day at the cafeteria when the U23 kids were lining up for breakfast, we probably had some 200 people lining through the campus and blocking off businesses. For some reason, the business owners approached me to try to rearrange the crowd. I'm mildly proud of the fact that I was able to corral the Japanese. Although I was in Japan, the Japanese phrase book did not include things like, "Would you please line up this way?"
So with 2 straight breaks here for the Canadian D-line. USA O-line's looking to hold. As you've been saying, the cutting for the USA squad has improved tenfold here in the second half, but it's the throwing that has gotten worse.
They haven't necessarily been bad looks either, just execution. So far it starts off easy for the USA. Pitt Caithley looks deep, but defense holds. Back to Justin Norden. USA wants the huck. They want the huck. They haven't found it. Nice wraparound defense. Right now the markers are trusting their lane cutter defenders. Canada gets what they want. Oh wow. Garbage collection.
They're looking for Simon Higgins, but it ends up in the hands of Cammie Nelson.
Garbage collectors are not on strike.
It's a 16-15 USA lead now.
Canada puts on their O-line once again. Some members of the crowd have started moving around the field to cheer on the Canadian team. The U.S. women's team has now showed up to try to combat the Canadians in the cheering department.
Sadly, a little outnumbered, though.
I'm glad I'm over here. A large crowds make me nervous. Strong cheering competition over there.
Very strong.
And now the beer tent is joining in. If you can't hear what we're saying, I apologize for the unruly crowd. I do wish that these premises right here were licensed.
USA pole sails out of bounds again. While in the first half, Eli Kearns was great at getting that pole to sit in bounds and pin that Canadian offense back and allow his fellow defenders time to set up. Lately, he's been giving them the brick mark to start their offensive point with.
Khalif Al-Salam has been working double duty, offense and defense. The U.S. is pulling out all stops. He's matching up against Nick Wright. He said, now I got the disc.
He's got to be on here for his mark.
Oh, Canada pulls out a classic play from the old-fashioned playbook. Hunap puts it up, not to be deterred.
Oh,
great
Hatchet
defense.
got up.
But there's a call on the play. It was pretty close.
Hatchet may be arguing that he might not have even landed in bounds had he caught it. But it's going back.
They've resolved to send it back.
Great job by Hatchet, Team USA, getting up there, get his hand in the way.
In a sense, you have to admire the resolve of throwers like Hugh Knapp, not outright refusing to change their game. They have a certain formula. It's worked for them thus far, and it's carried them toe-to-toe against arguably the strongest team in this tournament. That kind of attitude and tenacity has been the maker and the undoing of many a team.
During the discussion, the crowds have only gotten louder and louder.
Canadian crowd refuses to curb enthusiasm. Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough dump.
Wow.
Creative
good
use
find,
of an
though.
OI.
Very good throw.
Wow, that was
Very close.
That was Adriana Rowe throwing a very tight but intelligent throw up the sideline. Hugh Knapp is having to make another creative throw.
Oh,
Nearly sends Tapar into a poach. Well, physically he was sent
Yeah.
into a poach.
well, it looks like the crowd's really upset. It looks like the players have kind of already put it past them. And Hatchet caught him as he was coming back.
Wow. Nice reflexes by Kevin Grew there.
16 all. Drew. Game to 7. Drew. Game to 17, right? 16 all, and it's still game to 17. USA O-line with a chance to hold here downwind to win the game.
Universe point, and Canada is on defense. That's the way we like it.
For the USA O-line, we got Khalif Salim, Simon Higgins, Ian Engler, Sophie Darch, Justin Norden.
The women's game between Canada and USA was very close to the last showcase as well.
Indeed.
I think that the USA has been facing stiffer competition than they expected, not just from Canada, but from the international crowd as well.
McCathley's back out for USA on the O-line. Through the Canadian cheers, I can hear the USA national anthem being sung by some fans.
Which is a very awkward cheer.
I agree.
Let's see if USA
Good call.
Let's see if USA plays a more possession-oriented game here. The Cutters are still moving confidently and aggressively. The American Cutters want the disc.
Sophie Darch gets it from Salim.
They're stuck on the sideline. They escape, but Canada is still stagnating them.
Oh.
And it's a drop.
Canada disc with a chance to win the game. Timeout called after what's got to be 2 or 3 stalls. A little arguing over how many stalls it was, but
I was a little bit nervous about how many unders the American Cutters were getting there. But once again, it wasn't the cutting, it was the throwing that caused the... Well, actually, no, that was catching. That was a pretty perfect throw.
yes, this is a power pool game. Person asking on the stream. Power pool game between USA and Canada mixed. The mixed division, unlike the others, went into power pools after regular pool play for the first few days. The women's division is still in round robin, and the open is soon to enter championship bracket format. Coming up after this will be Great Britain versus Switzerland. We believe for the right to be in the championship bracket.
Play is about to resume on the field. Nobody likes to have a drop, a universe point in this kind of game. They're going to have to refocus, dig deep, and above all, play the style of defense they've committed to. When you have a lot of pressure to get the disc back, sometimes you make a stupid decision, try to bait, try to help somebody out when you should not.
Look at the USA defense in front of us. The women are kind of poaching off their assignments.
They have a flood stack on the left side for Canada. They're isolating Kevin Grew.
The disc goes up.
That is a very pugnacious choice.
Yeah, Higgins. Foul called. Higgins went up to get that disc.
The crowd does not like calls at this kind of game.
No.
And Canada respectfully retracts it.
Norden picking up the disc here as the wind picks up, gets a little stronger. The USA will be going downwind.
Higgins has the disc once again.
There's a call on the play.
This is a rough time for a stoppage for USA. They're not in great formation. Sarah Mextroff goes out. Norden can't find a way to get it to her, so Pitcaveley gets it under and dishes it.
Sophie Darch looking deep for Pitcaveley,
and it drifts out of bounds. It turns a little bit the wrong way.
Yeah.
Catches the wind.
USA will make another defensive stop here. They want a chance to win the game.
The wind has fluctuated a little bit in this game, and it's picking up once more. Now Canada has to remember that they're throwing up wind here. That was a perilous, gutsy choice in the last huck to the end zone, but sometimes it's very tempting to throw to your matchup. Somebody who's been nothing but the goose who lays golden eggs all day. Sometimes you want to think that he's just going to pull another goal out for you. Oh, and it's a drop right on the goal line.
Wow. Norden is going to be picking up the disc here for Team USA.
Marin tries to gather himself.
No more than 5 yards in front of him is the end zone. Swings it to Darch.
That was a difficult dump, but she executed it.
Yeah.
A high release flick from 4 feet away.
Don't see many of those. El Salim with the disc. Finds Engler.
USA is being much more cautious right now. Rumi Tepar is doing his best to contain El Salam.
Oh,
wow.
El Salam looks to find Sophie Darch.
Yet another turnover.
Drifts too far. I think part of it's the wind.
It is.
They're not prepared for the gusts and
it was
the new
not
speed.
It was not a bad choice. I would have taken that look.
Canada disc once again.
There was a brief pause there while Rumi Tepar tried to determine if he did indeed have one more timeout to call.
Yeah. And that's their second time at this point, correct?
I think so. I got a little confused by how many timeouts there were. I think both teams have exhausted their supply.
Yeah. With the wind, do you think Canada's strategy right now should be to slowly work the disc up the field instead of looking for the huck where the disc is likely to float and allow USA defenders to set?
I don't think anyone can argue against the wisdom of slowly working a disc up the field. The thing is that so far Canada characteristically has eschewed caution in their offense going upwind.
For USA, their coach has to be telling them, like, look, guys, it's a little windier now. You got to adjust your throws.
Right now,
They've had the chances and haven't been able to put it in.
I don't know. I think that if he's discussing anything other than defense right now, he's a little bit misaligned with the situation.
That's true.
Lusty, Trong, and Bussin on a horizontal stack. Kevin Grew on the far side. Rumi Tapar with the disc on the same side. Let's see how Canada intends to run their play here. The American defenders are backing the last two cutters. Aaron Bussin tries to come under, but it has to get looked off.
Great downfield defense again. Oh.
That's the second drop this point for Mr. Marin. Right on the goal line.
Norden with the disc. He found Higgins for the goal.
USA is elated. That's the end of the game.
17-16, USA mix beats Canada mix.
That was just a simple case of looking upfield before you'd caught the disc. Have to take care of business. This is a lesson Canada's going to take into the playoffs.
I was talking with Tushar yesterday, and we were talking about the mixed power pools, and we noticed that this, along with a couple of the mixed games, were big games, and while one loss, especially to a strong opponent like the USA isn't good, it's certainly not bad, and Canada still has a chance to move on and keep themselves alive in the mixed division, hoping for the gold medal.
Absolutely, and rematches statistically favor the underdogs in the return. So I think Canada is looking forward to their rematch against the U.S. They're going to have to take care of some fundamentals on the way. They're going to have to take care of business against some very strong opponents on the way to that bracket. But I personally am looking forward to seeing Canada mixed in the final.
Yep, let's hope it ends up that way. It'll be a great place for these two teams to rematch. So this has been the I Am Ultimate stream. Next up is Great Britain versus Switzerland on the open side. We believe that's another elimination game here on the stream.
And once again, for those of you who have just joined us at the end of the game, maybe you like GBR and Switzerland better, I'm signing off. Alex Davis from Vancouver, and maybe Tushar would like his microphone back. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.